I'm Dave Shaw, President and CEO of Shaw & Associates. For over 70 years, Shaw & Associates has been your trusted experts for wealth management, tax, accounting, and payroll. We change lives and inspire true wealth, one person, one family, one business at a time. Shaw & Associates is a wealth management investment firm that specializes in taxes, serving as a fiduciary, putting your interests first. You can find more information or schedule an appointment by calling 530-674-1150 or on the web at shawassociatesinc.com. Shaw & Associates is proud to support community radio.
And as I always say, if you'd like to support community radio, it's easy. You go to 93qradio.com, hit that donate button, or you can drop off a $100 bill in my mailbox at home. No, just kidding. Well, this morning, oh man, what do I do if that happens, right? I didn't plan that one out. I have, they don't call you a deputy anymore. You're undersheriff.
They don't call me deputy anymore. Yes.
Yeah. That's it. Is that okay?
Well, you know, I will have to say, since I was never, I mean, I was a deputy early on in my career, and then I was a city cop 90% of my career. So sometimes I wish that they called me deputy. It'd be kind of cool. I'd be okay with that.
All right, I'm just doing it just for today. Deputy Scott Smallwood and Commander Matt Maples. So is that the correct title?
Captain.
Oh, captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think I'd know that. I saw the bars. I was a captain. I get that.
It's pretty funny, though, because if you look at the recruitment, it actually says commander, but then we call them captains. It's the same thing, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, so listen, I'm really grateful you guys come in once a month, kind of let us know what's going on. And then today, because you have Matt with you, we get to talk about the jail.
Yes.
Actually, Scott, you're loving this because he gets to talk about the jail.
Yeah, I'll help him though, and I'll start by saying, so Matt got promoted, going on 2 years now, almost, right?
Wow.
Almost 2 years ago as a captain, and our captains, you know, sometimes they go to the jail, sometimes they go operations. Matt started in the jail, and since he is promoted, he has just done some phenomenal things inside the jail. He's really cleaned it up, and has just done a really good job structurally, as well as just internally with our staff. I mean, they really like working for him. I mean, he's a get her done kind of guy, and so extremely honored and proud for the work that he's done, including, which I'll let him talk about, is, you know, I mean, it's been the work in progress, but improving the air conditioning project inside the jail. I mean, you got to remember, our jail is built in the early 80s, I want to say, maybe late 70s. So, you know, that's swamp coolers, old school, you know, AC units and stuff, and that's not cheap these days, right? I mean, when we first started in 2019, kind of looking at that, I think it was, you know, $200,000-$300,000, and, you know, now that we've kind of got it, it's in the millions. And so, but Matt has done a good job, and I will kind of let that start the conversation and punt it to him, and he can talk about the work he's done with it, and then we'll talk about California Corrections Partnership that has supported us financially to start this project.
Oh. All right, Matt, you're on.
How are you doing? Good morning. Good morning.
Good.
So, thank you, Undersheriff, for your kind words. So after promoting, you know, I was obviously assigned to the jail as the division commander, and the jail's kind of a unique place, right? It's like a small city, you know, within the city of Yuba City, and it runs that way. We have to feed people, we have to house them. There's a lot of things we need to do, and unfortunately, you know, because of how it was built originally, the jail has evaporative coolers, which is swamp coolers, right?
God, we had those in Texas. They're terrible.
I remember those when I was younger. Yes, yeah,
exactly. So nationally, when you look at, you know, globally and nationally, it was a common thing, right? That they used that. It was cost efficient and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, we live in a Mediterranean climate that often, you know, we have 3 months throughout the year where we get over 100 degrees and sometimes over 110.
End of this week.
Right.
3 days, the end of this week.
Exactly.
Triple digits.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the good thing, like most other facilities, the building's made out of concrete, so it does retain cold, but it also retains heat when it gets super hot. So unfortunately, my employees and myself daily have to work in an environment that's it's pretty warm. So that and that includes the incarcerated people, right? So with the evaporative coolers, those actually produce humidity as well. So you're not only working in a hot environment, but a humid. So what we've been trying to do, and which the sheriff did a good job with, working with CCP and other folks, we were able to secure some sort of funding to get us started. And so what we're doing in the process now, and what I've been doing is, obviously it's a big undertaking to try to get contracts and get the right equipment in there and so on and so forth. And that's what we're really working on now. So I'm planning, I'm hoping, cross our fingers and all that we can get this done by, or at least, really started by the end of summer. But it's a big process.
So Matt, is there a kitchen in there?
There is.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh!
Yeah.
And it's and it works off a swamp cooler to cool the kitchen.
Yep.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Yeah.
On top, and then even in the kitchen, there's a large freezer, which that's not a swamp cooler. There's a little separate, but because it's as Captain said, it's a daily thing. So we have kitchen workers. On top of, you'll have incarcerated people that are, have earned the right to come assist in the kitchen, and they're cooking 3 meals a day, starting sometimes at 2-3 o'clock in the morning to have a meal ready for you at 4:30. And so, there's a lot that goes into running a jail, which includes the, keeping it at a certain degree, because you have incarcerated people, let alone our staff, that, might have medical conditions and things like that they have to pay attention to. And Matt's being very humble, but I'll just tell you, so with CCP, which is the California Corrections Partnership, that, started helping us with this by, providing some funding for us to start this project. The biggest thing truly and again, to brag on Matt, is it's not just starting the project, but it's also making sure, because with government, sometimes, not that outside vendors and stuff will take advantage, but sometimes you feel they might, because we're kind of we're backed into a corner. We have to get this stuff done. Matt does a good job to make sure we're not getting taken advantage. He makes sure that, hey, do we really have to pay that much for this or do this? And he does a really good job for the county to make sure that whatever funding we're spending, we're still getting top dollar stuff. We're still getting stuff that's going to last us, the next 10 years, but it's not going to break our bank because Matt's on top of them. And that's one of the biggest things that really comes to this, is making sure that the funding is proper and it's being efficient, still being effective. And so Matt does a really good job of that.
Yeah, that's a big deal, because people do that. I know. I mean, we've all seen the $5,000 screwdriver that the military bought, right?
Yes.
$500 toilet seats, right?
Right.
And so that, I never thought about that, Matt. To have that job includes all that financial stuff.
Right. Yes, it does.
That's a lot.
I think, one of the most important things to do when you're dealing with financials and you're dealing with running my budget is by far the largest within the sheriff's office. Is I try to think as not as the money's mine. I try to think as if I'm doing what's right for my employees and for the taxpayers, and because it's all our money, right?
Yeah.
And just make sure we're making very smart decisions.
So I'd be like, I'll volunteer to work in the kitchen if they have a walk-in cooler, and that's my job.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Just clearing things out there. How many people are incarcerated in a jail? How many people can you house?
So Currently, our daily average population is right around in between 220, 230.
Gosh.
396 is what our max is. We don't want to get to that.
I believe it.
But I mean, with that being said, back to what you're saying, you were talking about working in the kitchen. We serve almost close to 30,000 meals.
Yeah.
So
That's just crazy.
And you talk about that walk-in cooler. It's great when the sheriff and I do quarterly walkthroughs, just to to make sure everything's going good, and also to kind of brag about our staff and our captain and stuff. And the sheriff is like, hey, because he's a guy that runs hot. So he's like, let me go check the cooler out. Yeah, that's one of his favorite spots to look to make sure it's running good.
Understood.
Yeah.
I'd be like, don't put me in charge of that.
Yeah.
These folks are eating hot dogs on a regular basis, right? Just make it easy, right?
Well, Fish, it's funny you say that, because even the food, the dietary, another thing that the captain has to pay attention, and we have a vendor that assists us with this, but there's tons of dietary restrictions, whether they're vegan, they're, vegetarian, or maybe they have medical conditions, and they can't eat gluten, or they got to make sure that they handle all that.
I thought it was bad at the preschool, right? Mother Goose preschool when we had it, and it was really unusual. You go through cycles, but we went through a season. I was talking to Stacy, who was the director, and there's a list, right, of all the kids what they can and can't eat.
Right.
And I went, when did this happen?
Yeah.
But it's more and more allergic reactions to stuff, and, we had to do it. So I can't imagine. That's a lot of people to care for, and that's everything. So when you say you're like a city within the city, that's everything.
Yeah.
Whether it's medical, they got to see a doctor. I mean.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we have a full medical office, staff, a lot of staff on hand, psychologists on hand, nurses, doctors. We have a new dental suite we just finished. You name it, we have it. So.
When I was chaplain with the Yuba City PD, my son was an officer, and we were doing a transfer. So I got to go in the Sallyport, right, for the first time, and see how you take somebody in and all the stuff you do. It's a lot.
Yeah.
You guys do that's a lot. That's a lot of work.
And Matt said it, his budget, out of all of the divisions, his budget's the biggest because of some of those things that we're obligated to handle. And, the sheriff always says when he comes to community meeting stuff, he's like, you think about what it costs for us to run a jail, and he's obligated. He has no choice. But then you think, well, why does it cost so much? Well, do you have an RN down your hall when you go to bed at night, Fish? Do you have a full registered nurse down the hall?
You mean my wife?
Oh, well, okay. Well, you have your wife.
She's not a nurse.
But for the most part, you don't.
I'm a man when I'm sick.
Yeah. Well, in the jail, you have one 24/7. You have an RN. You have medical staff, that are there. So it's very costly.
So did you work in the jail for a number of years, or were you one of the ones that moved around and you like that steep learning curve?
Yeah,
as they say?
I've never worked in a jail prior to becoming the jail commander.
Yeah, he got thrown in the deep end, and we said, learn how to swim.
Well, they must have had a lot of confidence in you, Matt. That's a big deal.
We do.
Well, there's a learning curve to it. I can tell you that, and you got to jump in with both feet into the pool. And but I'll be honest with you, my staff really makes me look good. So I have some of the best staff. I have a good lieutenant. I have a good admin sergeant, and then all the way down, all my sergeants, my line staff, they're all great. And it takes everybody. It takes a village, right? And we really have good staff. We've been hiring a lot of good people, and I'm really blessed.
It's really like consistency, isn't it? It's like, look, we got to develop a routine, keep the routine, right? Because it makes everything stable, and then you get the great job of looking at the routine and going, I think we need to change this.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, and you'll even see if you ever want to come and you do a tour of the jail. Matt has even done a good job with his staff. Improving just because you think about a jail, right? You walk into a jail, you watch some of the shows, and it's like gloomy, dark, stinky. I mean, all those things. truly, if you walk in our jail, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's going to be some of those things just because of how it's ran, but it's not gloomy. It's bright. There's even, some photos and stuff and murals that have been painted by incarcerated people, even the stenches and stuff like that, they have different things in there. And it truly makes it where even the incarcerated people, it's an environment where while they're being housed to be improved to go back out to the community, it's a place where it's not depressing and whatever. I mean, and the sheriff and I have, we've complimented, Captain and his staff because it's always clean. There's always those things. And, you think about 270 people in there, bathrooms, all those things that come into play, and it's a lot of work, but they do a really good job of it. And I encourage even, people in the community, whatever, if they want to come and see, we do tours and things like that. We've had board of supervisors, and it definitely has. They've done a really good job.
Is there anything, Matt, that you outsource? Like, is laundry done there? Are there things that actually you can outsource, or is it better to keep it all in house?
Well, to answer your question about laundry, so we have a laundry facility, so we do all the laundry there. I can't really think of much that we outsource. Obviously, the food is not grown on the property or anything.
That'll be next.
Right.
They're going to build you a new jail with a farm. That's a new learning curve.
Not in our time.
But no, we typically do not outsource things like that. When you do go into outsourcing things like laundry and so on and so forth, that can bring a whole nother level of issues. Obviously, number one is security, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to have people bringing in contraband, drugs, and so forth. And that is just an avenue to get that to happen. So we try to keep most everything in-house. We can control costs that way as well, and really, tighten down and make sure that everything's within budgetary requirements. But yeah, we don't really outsource many things.
So if somebody is out there listening and they're thinking, I'd like to work there, right? What's the process for somebody? Because I know we had Yuba County on, I didn't know this, that you got separate training for the jail, that you could become an employee there, that you weren't going. Do you know what I'm saying? Through the sheriff's department, and you could actually go in at 18. Is that the same for Sutter County?
Yeah, that's correct. That's the same for us.
We have
what a great opportunity!
Yeah.
A kid looking for a job. I'm 18 years old, and I can go get trained.
Yep.
And the whole thing.
100%, and you can do, and we pay for it all. We recruit. I mean, we've had kids that were cadets with us through high school, and then once they graduated high school, we've hired them. We even then have done 4 years in the jail, and then came out and worked as a patrol or whatever.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So
Do you
can
take 75-year-olds?
100%. Don't laugh.
What's the retirement benefits?
Yeah, I think for recruitment wise, it's about. I mean, so there are different requirements, right? So for the jail, they run under STC. And so those are requirements, but they still have some post requirements that they have to follow. But it's a little different. You could be 18 years old, and really, I mean, like when we recruit, you just apply. You got to test. You got to do all the physical fitness. You got to do a written, oral panel, all that. But when you're hired, like you don't pay for the schooling. We pay for it. We send you the core. We send you to all the trainings. So it's a really good opportunity. Let's say you're a young, male or female that just, is like, college isn't for me. Maybe you don't want to go into the military. You can be working full-time with full-time benefits at 18 years old.
Wow. So you guys provide, is it the jail staff that provides the bailiffs and that? Is that all connected together? I mean,
correct. Because
there are things outside of the jail, kind of like the sheriff's department has all these others. You can ride horses and ATVs
right.
and that. Is the jail the same way? There are some things that are actually part of the jail but not in the jail. That's
correct. So we do have a contract with Sutter County Superior Court to provide those services, like as far as bailiff. The other portion that we do have that a lot of people don't think of. We have transportation officers, and those are the folks that you'll see. We have vans, right, that say Sutter County Sheriff's Office on them, and those folks take people to and from court. They also take people to and from correctional facilities, whether that is a county level, local facility, or a state level, either hospital or correctional facility such as a prison. And so they're doing transportation back and forth.
Medical officers?
We have medical officers that are assigned to medical, so they'll walk around inside the jail facility, and not only do they work in the jail facility, but they also do medical runs. So if there's a specialty appointment that we don't have the ability to handle, so then they'll take that incarcerated person and take them to that appointment. We also have a programs officer, and that person runs our work release program and also does a lot of the programs, which the undersheriff was talking about, a lot of the things that happen within the facility, and that stuff is managed by me but ran through and funneled through that person, and that person kind of gets it done.
Yeah, you need a staff.
Right.
Well, and then on top of that, it's our staff also. We're still at one family, so you'll have a lot of our correctional officers that are part of teams that are together with patrol and so forth. For instance, search and rescue. So search and rescue is not just a sworn officers. It could be correctional officers.
Yeah.
We have correctional officers that are part of our dive teams. So when we have those that are jumping in the rivers and diving, we have currently 2 or 3 correctional officers are part of our dive team. Honor guard, we have 2 people part of our honor guard, and we actually even have one, and we just found for our part of our SWAT team, there are hostage negotiation team. So when you become a part of our corrections, it's not just what you do within that, but you can also do other avenues to do some things to make it fun and interesting. And so it's all one big family for us.
Do you have K-9?
We do.
We do. We have a canine officer within our jail facility, and that's Deputy Brooks.
I think I met him.
Bailey?
Yeah, I think he was on. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Well, we have 2 Brooks, so that's where it can get
Ethan.
confusing. Yeah, but
I know him because he had his kid at our preschool.
There you go.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
then I see him one day and I go, "Oh, is that what you do for a job?"
So we do have a canine within our facility. Bailey does a good job, and so does her handler.
And Bailey's not it's a lab, so she's strictly you're not going to have a bite dog inside the strictly a detection, but they have specialized, right? So not just detection for just drugs and weapons, but they'll do detection for things like pruno and those types of things as well. And so it's just another tool that we use to keep things out of our jail.
So there used to be, you only could do so much time in a county facility, and then that changed, right?
Correct.
So what is it now?
Well,
can somebody be there long term?
So
wow.
Yeah, and I don't know what the maximum length is. We do have some folks that are sentenced to 5 years they're doing prison time within the county. So
that's what I was.
Yeah,
because
so
I heard
that's
about
correct.
that, and I thought, how does that change what you guys have to do?
So I'll be honest with you, it really doesn't change much. The only difference is the people are there longer. There are some changes, minor adjustments that we have to make, and because you're housing people that are sentenced to prison, but they're in custody. So obviously there's some stuff with the state that we have to do. However, it really didn't change much. It just in my eyes, it just made it. I'm gonna get backlash for this, but I think it would make it easier because you see the same people every day, right?
Well, I was kind of thinking that once you got the system down, the longer somebody's there,
right,
the more they're probably compliant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the biggest aspect, I think, and so Captain's correct, when it comes to the work part of it, I mean, it's the same concept, right? Your job is to do whatever you can to make the facility safe and make it where it's an ability for a person to be rehabilitated to go back out onto the community, right? So really honestly, what it comes down to from an administrative part of it, it's the financial aspect. Now, that is the huge part of it.
It cost money.
And that's correct, right? So when they did the realignment, and they said, we're going to assist, so they said, they'll assist with a percentage of it, but it doesn't. So it cost us a lot more money. And that's where medical, right? So when you're now doing medical for a person that's going to be with you for years, well, those medical costs come up, right? Versus someone that's going to be in there for, 6 months. Food, right? And then just infrastructure itself, right? Someone's being 6 months where someone's going to live there. So, if you're going to live in a home for 6 months, okay, you're out there quickly. But if you're going to live in the home for 5 years, things break down. There's safety measures. So it's really, honestly, what it comes down to, the biggest change, it's the cost. And it's the cost that goes into the county versus the state. The state's saving the money and putting those costs into the county. And so that's where, that's the biggest difference.
See, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. And I always feel this way, and I think in part, I haven't been civilian law enforcement. I was law enforcement in the military. But I was a chaplain, and I've gotten to know a lot of the law enforcement on both sides of the river. And I am just convinced we do not put enough money into it. It's almost like, well, we need it, and it's like, well, it's more than just needing it. You want more ability to do more, and that takes money. Right. And if the state says, I want you to do more, but I'm not going to give you as much money, that means you're constantly jockeying. And anyway, so whether I get in trouble or not, I don't really care. I just wish there was a way that whether it's the number of officers or a change in a facility, what's genuinely needed was taken care of. And I realize that's across the board, right? So anyway, there's my 2 cents.
A perfect example, and I know we're out of time, a perfect example, and Matt helped me with I can't think, but the incarcerated people that are determined psychologically not able to testify. Help me out with why can't I think of the term for that?
Incompetent central, ISTs.
ISTs, thank you, ISTs. So ISTs, right? So ISTs are determined by courts and medical staff. But the state says you're only allowed to have so many ISTs inside your jail, and if you have more than that amount of number, you're going to get fined. But we're not the ones that determine that. No. We're just stuck with the bill. It's determined by courts and them. So that's, and our ISTs are always higher than what the state says we have, but it's not by our choice. It's by the choice of those two people or those two entities. But then when the state says, well, now, you're over your 20 or whatever the number is, we're going to fine you. So we still got to take on that cost, even though there's nothing we can do about it. So it's just things like that can get frustrating.
That's like smog.
Yeah, there you go.
It's one more thing.
Yeah, 100%.
I love smog. When I first came here, they said, you got to smog your car. And I thought, this is an amazing state.
Right.
They control the air over the state. That no outside air gets in, no inside air. I love that California can do that.
Don't you love that? Yeah. So.
All right, gentlemen. Anything we've forgotten that you'd like to say? No, congratulations, even though it's 2 years later. Better you than me. I don't want your job.
No. I think that's it, Fish. We're always enjoyed coming on here. For the community, just let them know that we're working hard to, and just to brag again about Matt and his staff. We're working hard to make sure that our budget and our costs are not affecting the community as much as we can. And we're just, unfortunately, we're obligated for some stuff that we can't avoid. Other than that, 4th of July is coming up. Be safe. Be smart. And, you'll have Sierra on, I think, next month to talk about National Night Out. And we're looking forward to that.
No offense, gentlemen, but I like having her on.
Yeah, I think everybody does. She's pretty smart.
I like her. All right. Thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This community interview is made possible by Shaw and Associates.
I'm Dave